Come look at this. I have no idea why it's doing this. Putting a clear coat on. I don't know if it's going to show up well. It is just completely, that's beyond orange peel. I have never had this in my life. I don't know what's going on. See it? Rippled like crazy. Completely ruined everything. I guess this is the start of this video. Ran up to Home Depot, got the washers for the windage tray. So we can have clearance for the rod bolts. Calls for 30. If it doesn't work, we have extras. Boy, that was fast. I told you. Oh man, those are beautiful. Wait, it does say what's on them. Water pump. I specifically bought those because if you refer back to one of my first videos where I was breaking down the engine, I literally had to put all my effort into those water pump bolts. I'm thankful they didn't break, but I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen again. I don't know, maybe intake. Bell housing. Cam. There's what we need. That's the oil pump, I think. ICT billet. Yep. Brian Tooley. Those are the rocker bolts. Header. Starter, I think. Yep, starter. And a harmonic balancer bolt. Cool. That was wicked fast. I call things how they are. When they're doing something wrong, I'll call them out. When they're doing something right, I will shout it from the rooftop. Yeah, it's Thursday, and I ordered that Tuesday, late Tuesday, because I don't do any kind of car stuff during the workday usually. So that's very, very fast. Thanks, Summit. If you'll notice, this does not have that smooth bottom. What I did some reading about these. These are the rocker bolts. And I can't remember the exact argument, but basically there's a risk. Basically what I've been dealing with the main studs bottoming out, this completely avoids that. Because there's no structure there. That just goes all the way into the head. So I just threw these on here to make sure I wasn't going to lose any. And that's plenty of thread inside the head. So I'm assuming they work. I'm pleased with that decision. And they are ARP also. Because see, if this bottoms out, it can't get a proper torque specification, torque setting, whatever it's called. Alright, since we have the hardware, there's no reason not to just go ahead and install it. So I'm going to yank that off. I just tested this because it doesn't work at 20 pounds, but it does work at 25. I just tested it by tightening one of these. And lo and behold, the whole drama about do we lubricate it or Loctite it, all these ARP bolts call for lubricant and 25 pounds. So I'm going to pull the sprocket off, pull the bolts, pull the plate off, pull the bolts. This plate will go on. This is the MAHLE, M-A-H-L-E. I need to double check the manual, see if you lubricate that. I don't think you do, but I need to check because I just don't know. But there's just no reason not to go ahead and get this done. So we can be done with it, and then we can put the oil pump on and move on, because I'd really like to get the heads on and get the push rods measured and all that. So So what I'm gonna do, I might get on camera, I might not. I don't know. I don't like the pressure of the camera. I feel like I've got a rush for the camera. So I'm not sure if I'll even show it. It's not exciting. Lightly lube the built-in gasket at the back of the cam retainer plate. Got them all in, all 7 bolts, 4 on the plate, heavily lubricated. Let me explain. I think I might have figured out what their whole mindset of doing lubricant is. So what creates the pound-foot or foot-pound, whatever, is drag, friction. So if you lubricate it and go down to 25 pounds, that's a lot stronger than if it was dry and 25 pounds. So the sheer force with the lubricant creates a lot of pressure, and the pressure alone will keep it from backing out. That's what I think is going on. I would feel better if I had Loctite on it, but man, I have to trust the engineers. And another thing, I don't have thread locker on my rods. I don't have thread locker on my main caps. So, and then I argue with myself back and say, well, this is only 25 pounds versus like 60 pounds. But here we are. I chose to follow the instructions, and we'll see how it plays out. All right, since we're here and we have the specs, I'm gonna go ahead and finish torquing these up. I can't remember if I put them back at 45, but regardless, I'm gonna put them at 45. Well, if they're already at 45, that's fine. The next step, I'm gonna go 60 and then 82. I'll do 2 at a time. Rotate, 2 at a time, rotate. So, not exciting, but I'm glad to finally get it done. I'm gonna get this on camera. I'm not sure how well it's gonna show up, but it's kind of shiny right here. Almost like it's coming into contact with the rod. So I'm gonna torque these down, and I'm gonna come back with a feeler gauge, because that definitely looks like it might be rubbing. And I'll have to check the rest of them, of course. Well, yeah, this one doesn't look like it. Well, it's got free play there. Maybe it is rubbing, but it's not hurting. It's definitely a little shiny here on the edge. All right, I'm not going to film all of it. It's going to take forever. I'm fighting the engine stand more than anything. But that's how you torque a rod bolt. As for the record, they still do move. Because the weight shouldn't be on the bearings. The weight should be on the rod cap and the rod itself. Oh yeah, no problem. All right, knock out the next 2. All right, given the craziness regarding the rods, we can finally have some closure. They function. They're all torqued down in 3 steps to 82 pounds, and they all move. I can move every single one of them back and forth, so they're not locked up. And I'm probably going to throw that oil pan on it just to keep dust out of it. It's probably okay if I don't, but until I think of a downside to putting the oil pan on, it's going to go on. Because we really do need to start protecting the engine inside. That Lucas is like honey. Literally and figuratively. I swear the bugs like the way it tastes because it was covered. Same with these. Look at all those bugs all over it. So cleanliness is a key to having a good engine from what the pros tell me. So we are now done with the rod bolts. All right, I just wanted to throw these in there. It's been a long time coming. Okay, cool, I can. They recommend putting the head gasket on first and then dropping the studs, so that's why I did that. But this is going to have to come back out anyway. This is just a pre-assembly, because I just noticed something. We're going to have to put the lifter trays in there, and that is blocking it. So I was not planning on throwing the head on. Actually, I might just throw the head on for the heck of it, but I want to limit how much I'm moving that head around, especially next to all this steel. So I'll probably wait until I'm actually ready to put the lifters in and measure the push rods tomorrow. And I'm not going to throw I'm not going to throw all the lifters in at once. By the way, this Ziploc bag leaks like crazy. And it's supposed to be name brand, because there's certain things I don't like name off brand, and this is one of them, and it still leaks. So I'm going to take out a few of the lifters. I'll probably do 4 lifters. You know, just this tray right here, and so I can get 2 separate cylinders to make sure they're even. I have no reason to believe they're not going to be, but like on everything else, we want to do it right the first time. And I hate to say it, oh man, I can see one from here too, but there are some gnarly scratches on the cylinder walls, especially number 1. It really turns my stomach looking at it. It's got like 5 or 6 of them in a row, so I don't know what the heck is going on. Hopefully when the rings seat, maybe it'll smoothen it out. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to smoke. I guess the best part is it's up here instead of way down there, but it's cringe. It literally makes me cringe. But anyway, I'll probably call it a night before I get myself into a jam. And I'm going to let I'm going to pull some of those lifters out and let them drain the oil out, because I don't want oil all over the place. Oh, and the oil pan's on too, temporarily. All right, well, that's where we're at today. We got quite a bit done. We've tied up some loose ends from before. Rods are torqued. We've got the actual cam plate and the actual cam plate bolts and the sprocket bolts. So we're done with that. We do not have to take that back out again. And it appears that there is no clearance issue. I cannot see back there. I stuck a mirror in any angle I could find, and I could not definitively see that they were not rubbing. But they're the same bolts that came out of it. They're just the ARP version. So I have to trust that they're not rubbing. I don't feel it rubbing, but it would have been nice to get like closure on, okay, it's 70 thousandths away or something like that. But hey, we'll deal with it. It'll be fine. I read them very carefully, and I didn't read anything about putting lubrication on the threads that are in the block. The reason I was hesitant is because I watched at least a couple of people over the last 48 hours, and one of them did lubricate the threads that were in the block.
But RLS uses a stud with a bottom nose, and with a little oil applied to the coarse threads, we can drop it in.
But if it's not on this paper, I don't think it matters, because I just ordered this, and they said they update the instructions like live time. So I'm not going to lubricate the threads of the head studs that are going inside the block. All right, this is going to be kind of tricky to do, but I'm going to try to get this on camera, at least this first one. I thought it was later than it was, so I was going to wrap it up, but it's only 8 something. Oh, and this is what I bought the extreme pressure for. Push rods, lifters. Now, I actually haven't watched a video on how to do this. I've just seen it in videos. And they debate whether to put the drain forward or backward, and from what I gather, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to put them all the same direction for OCD purposes. Okay, so this is the first I've even looked at the lifters. So yeah, they're squared off. So they really only go in one way. Well, one of two ways. All right, now I will put some of this assembly lube on these. Man, I wish I could get some lube in the lifter channels. Let me go look and see if I can get something down in there. You know, like where the lifter slides. Yeah, I'm gonna put some of that on my finger and try to get it down in there. So give me a sec. There's no way I can get that on camera. You can use your imagination. I'm an idiot. I'll just put the lube on the lifter, so when the lifter goes in, it'll drag it with it. Went straight down. I'm gonna put that screw in there, and we'll keep going from there. I'm gonna turn this off. Wouldn't say perfect, but close. If this thing gets enough assembly lube wrapped around it, it might seal it off and actually keep the oil inside the lifter. Probably not. It sounded good. All right, I'm gonna put this screw on here. We'll do the, oh, and you know what? I read the instructions, and it said to put the head gasket and head on before putting these in. But I've seen it, you can do it either way. So I think I'm just going to try to put it on like this, and then I'll put the little ones in after. Sits on there perfectly. Oh, you know, I'll bring this up because I keep forgetting to. I was reading somewhere, and I read that sometimes having head studs is a problem because you could have clearance with the engine bay. And I completely forgot about that until right this moment. So I'm basically gambling on there not being a clearance issue. Yeah, I'm going to mock up the exhaust too. I actually, I've started on the exhaust. I hit it with PB Blaster because I'm going to deconstruct them, degrease them, and get them nice and pretty. But at the same time, when this head's up here, I want to mock them up to see if there are clearance issues and whether or not I can weld the crack. I don't know if I've shown it. Right there. So, we'll find out. It's not the end of the world if I can't use them, because you can go to the junkyard and get manifolds. Plus, I'm not sweating it, because since I'm doing a turbo, I may end up with turbo stuff anyway, so it's not the end of the world. Back to this. All right, now I'm going to drop a couple rockers here. I'm going to put that plate, and I'm going to put a couple rockers up here. And I have the 7.4, which is the factory. You know what, by the way, I am going to snug some of these down. And I'll just think out loud. It calls for putting the washers, the serrated side down, so that it cuts into the head, you know, for grip. I'm not sure if I want to do this when I'm just mocking it up, because that will make it harder for when I do it for the real thing. It's going to have less surface area to sit flat. So I'm thinking about turning the washers upside down and putting the smooth side down to keep the heads perfect. So when I do it for the real thing, it's got, excuse my term, but virgin aluminum, so it's not cut or anything already. But man, it's starting to look like something. I was looking at these nuts, and they basically have a washer already. And since I'm not really torquing these down, I think I'm just going to put it straight up like that. That's nice and smooth. It's not going to dig in. But here's the washer I was talking about. That's the smooth side. And that's the serrated side. It's supposed to cut into the aluminum. I was thinking about flipping it so the serrated side is up. But then maybe this would mess up the serration. So I'm probably just going to throw that on there. I'll show what I'm doing. I don't know if it's right, but I'm doing it. I'm just going to go staggered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because we're not needing a bunch of pressure. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just to keep it flat and level. I just found a major flaw in this stupid tool. How in the world do they do this? That nut will not go through the hole. How in the world is this real life? Oh my gosh. You've got to be joking me. Well, I guess we're using the... I'm sending that back. That's useless. Thanks, TrickFlow. You tricked me. Wow, man. That's next level. That is next level trickery. That's a little nerve-wracking to think that it can actually rotate. I thought that's why those... Man, I'm going to have to do some reading because this is not making sense to me. What I might do... Let's just assume well, obviously I can't use it. Let's say it's gone. What do I have? I do have pushrods. So what I can do is find the zero lash by just grinding off a little bit at a time. You know, five thousandths at a time until there's zero lash. But I want to mess with this tomorrow. I want to do. I haven't specifically read up on this stage, so I'm a little ahead of schedule. I put this one in just to keep it straight. But yeah, I'm sure it's fine. It's got pressure on it though. Oh, that's probably, yeah, the lifter does. But it should be at top dead center. See, these bugs, man, I'm telling you. All right, I'll figure out what's going on here, but we're good. We're on schedule. For the record, there is no schedule. Just want to clarify. All I'm going to do is take this to the grinder. I'm just going to grind those high points down. I mean, it's $17. I'm going to have to pay for shipping back. I don't want to deal with it. So I'm just going to take that to my grinder. That one right there. It'll make short work of this. So I went ahead and turned this over and let the valve, well, the cam lobe, get to where it's supposed to be. And I'm pretty sure this is close to zero lash. I'm going to watch a couple videos this evening. Like I said, I have not researched this particular part. I've just seen it in other videos in passing. But I think that is zero lash. And this is bottomed out too. This bolt is seated. See, the aluminum is not moving. So I think that might be good. What I'm trying to do is confirm. The machine shop said that the decking would not cause me to need more or other push rods. He said that it wasn't enough to change it, but I want to confirm that because he said he took 8 to 10 thousandths off, and I know that's well within the tolerances, but I want to see it for myself, you know, considering that we're trying to build a motor that runs. So I'll watch some videos tonight, but I think that's okay. Like I'm compressing the lifter when I do that. But I'm pretty sure that's going to work. But we'll do both. We'll do the exhaust and the intake tomorrow and watch them both come up and down. So we can confirm what I think we actually probably could use the 7.4, which that'd be great because I'm not trying to get something special here. I want it as plain as possible. Last thing for the evening. So I've got both of them on. They're both bottomed out. But what I wanted to mention was, man, when I'm cranking that thing over, it is throwing some serious air out. I wasn't even going fast and it was blowing in my face. So that thing's sealing up enough to blow some air out. That's probably a really good thing, because that's some serious displacement. We just raised the volume 10% from 6 liter to 6.6 liter. So I'm excited. I'm gonna call it a night, go do some research on how to make sure these for sure are zero lash, and we'll get it figured out. No big deal. Man, these are some fresh ARP cam bolts. They were literally manufactured the day after they killed Charlie Kirk. 9/11. That's crazy. That's really fresh. All right, pretty sure it made it into this video, but all this peeling, it was just instant. And then I put a clear coat over top of it. It's been 8 hours and it is still not even set up. And it's not because I put a lot. And I should have put it in the video. I got these from O'Reilly's. This color, Duplicolor, I highly recommend not using. I got 2 cans. I had to take one back. The lid looked older. And sure enough, I mean, I shook the crap out of it. And when I sprayed it up front, it threw chunks out. Like I hadn't stirred it or something. I was like, there's no way. So I kept shaking it. Probably 20 minutes of shaking, not exaggerating. And it threw chunks again. So I was like, this is bad. Took it back, but I still had the second can. Well, it's a brand problem. This is a brand problem. That completely ruined my entire project. It's absolutely everywhere. So I highly recommend steering away from Duplicolor. Unless you just like ruining your own projects for the heck of it. So they have a quality control problem because the first can worked and then this can didn't. So I will never the rest of my life buy paint from them. And that's expensive paint. I'm taking it back. I'm going to get a refund. Well, I've been doing some thinking and I just had a little panic. And I think I'm right. Torque these rod bolts to 82 pounds. It just seems so high to me. And my first reaction when I talked to the woman, and the second set of numbers is what she gave me, were 82. Those were for the rods. And I specified to her, the torque specifications are going to be specific to ARP. I have a feeling that we over-torqued the ARP bolts because they do recommend, I've heard people recommend the stretch method. Well, here's the problem. If it was supposed to be 45 pounds, because the guy at the machine shop did tell me 45 or 50, I can't remember. And that was right off the ARP. Like he had an old sticker, but it looked like it was from the 90s, so I didn't exactly trust it. But if in fact the actual torque spec is 45 or 50 pounds, and I've torqued it to 82, that means I've stretched the bolts beyond where they're supposed to be stretched. See, this paper doesn't say anything about ARP. I was so excited to get it after all that work. It didn't dawn on me that they didn't give me the ARP torque spec. They gave me the rod using some other bolt. The bolt that comes with it initially, I guess. I don't know. I just had to run downstairs and check it out and get it on camera. I mean, this is pretty devastating to me. So I'm going to have to call ARP myself, which I guess I should have done day one. But here we are. I don't use AI features, but I guess my browser added it and utilized it automatically. The torque specification for ARP 2000 rod bolts is typically around 40 pounds when using ARP lube. But it's important to verify with a stretch gauge to ensure proper bolt stretch, which should be between 0.0065 to 0.0070. And now I won't be able to measure that because they're already stretched. Vastly beyond what they would have stretched if I put it at 40 pounds. We got a problem. Subject line ARP 2000 rod bolt problem. Hello, Oliver. Unfortunately, I am still having problems with the torque specifications for my Pro LS rotating assembly. I did receive the PDFs you sent and followed the specifications stated on the instruction sheet. It says 82 foot-pounds, pound-feet, for my model number. After several days and after creating a tutorial video to help others in my similar position that unfortunately 150 people already saw, I began to doubt the curiously high torque spec and accidentally used the AI function in my browser while searching for further confirmation. Even though I was unsuccessful before, I was feeling a bit desperate. To my shock, it says about 40 pound-feet, and I have attached a screenshot of my findings. The main problem now, assuming it actually is closer to 40 than 80, is that my bolts are now overstretched and unusable. 1. Can we please get a confirmation from ARP of the real torque spec being 82 pound-feet? 2. If they are overstretched due to incorrect instructions, how do you wish to proceed? Please advise. So, that's all I can do at this point. I'm not going to get angry. I'm kind of beyond angry. I don't know what you call the next level, but this is unbelievable that I'm having to go through all this. I just can't believe in 2025 that this is even a possibility. And it's not ARP's fault. Every single thing I've ever gotten from ARP has instructions. But see, what they do is they buy the ARP 2000 bolts, they install them, they lubricate them and install them on the rods, and they don't give us the instructions. That's the breakdown in their system. And how can this happen this many years? They've had the Pro LS with 2000 rod bolts available for years. How have they let it get to this position when the specifications they actually sent me are double? Double. It's not off by 5 or 6 pounds. It's double. This thing said 40 pounds. They told me 82. And it's 95 for the other model. So, it's done. I'm going to have to yank the video down because now 150 poor suckers saw this video. Now they're going to damage their engines now. I mean, what do? I'm a disinformation agent now. Oh my God. Hang in there, baby. Oh man. I have never seen that in my life. That's my hand. Oh man, I hope it didn't dent my car. I heard that first piece of hail hit the ground. Well, it hit my car. I ran and got this camera because I've never seen hail like that in my life. I don't see any dents. Yeah, there's half-inch hail in here. That's bigger than a half-inch. All right, I heard back from Summit. This is from Oliver. Thank you for confirming you received the spec sheet this time. All specs provided have been confirmed by our head engineer, Brian Nutter. You can read about Brian at the bottom of the Pistons 1 file, as he worked one-on-one with the manufacturers of the components for the rotating assemblies to ensure it can handle the stresses produced. These kits are tested to over 1200 horsepower in turbo applications, requiring specs that are not your normal stock or lightly modified LS numbers. The numbers that you were provided and put in the video are correct. I am happy to learn that you are getting more views is that it's great for you and your channel. We wish you the best with your content and are honored to be a small part of it. As always, please let me know if you need any further information or assistance, and I will be happy to help. Best regards, Oliver. Man, that feels so much better. I haven't even touched this thing in like 3 days. He emailed back yesterday. I'm not just stressed over this. I'm stressed over my transfer case. It's been a month and the guy hasn't touched it. I'm still worried about my neighbors moving like 50 feet away from my front door, which you can hear them shooting now. I'm just a little stressed over this whole thing. Yeah, you can hear that. Which I'm happy. If they're shooting, that means they're not living there. Shoot all you want. I just shot 10 minutes before they did. But anyway. All right, so there's been a little gap. There won't be a gap in the video, but there's been a gap in the build. It's been 3 or 4 days since I've touched it. Where we left off, I grabbed this, I laid it here, and it hasn't moved. The only thing I've done is I've picked up some shell casings that I'm cleaning in the walnut shell. Here, let me show you. Just does that hour after hour. And they go, well, these are pretty clean, but they go in looking like that and they come out looking new. But anyway, so what I have to do next, this nut is too wide. It will not fit down in the channel for the Pushrod. And it was 18 bucks plus shipping and $20. It would take $20 to send it back and just get my money back. And I still wouldn't have a measuring thing. So I'm going to grind those down to clear it. Right here. See, it's hanging up on that hole. So I just need to knock the edges off and take it down so I can slide it in there. All right, I'm going to get that done, and we're going to get these dag-burn push rods measured. Man, what a relief. There we go. Now I'm going to hit it with a file, make sure there's no sharp edges. All right, we got it exactly at 7.4. Well, just pretend that still says 7.4. I'm going to drop it in there, and I'm going to try to do the whole sequence, trying to make sure it's got 0 lash. I'm probably going to try to figure out how to do it. I'm probably going to figure out how to do it without the camera, and then I'll show what I've learned, because it could take forever. It will take forever, I'm sure. All right, forget about the push rod for a second. We've got a minor problem here. It's a little bit more than minor. Those valve seats are rusting. And I even rubbed them down with oil and run a dehumidifier. Those are rusting. Dang, man. I do not know what I'm going to do. That sickens me. All the time we spent on this thing to make sure everything was done perfectly. We have a potential problem here. So I was trying to check for lash, and I noticed on the intake, I could pull up on this and I could feel it springing up and down. I put the regular push rod back in there to show you. That's moving. I thought, I don't remember it having that much travel. So I checked 2. I pulled them out fresh and tried to push them down with my hand, and I was unable to push them down at all. What I'm scared of is that I have a bad lifter, which that can be resolved, but needs to be addressed. Or Maybe the fluid has drained out of it and it's lost its hydraulic pressure. I don't know. But the exhaust is not acting the same way. That's why I'm concerned. Now, I have turned it over. There probably is pressure on the exhaust now. But even when they were on top dead center, it was clearly the intake was pushing down. Because that's how I couldn't tell if it was zero lash. Because, like, man, I don't think there's supposed to be that much free play. So I'm going to mess with it for a couple of minutes and see if I can figure it out. But, well, the exhaust pushes in too. So unless they're both broken exactly the same way, and they shouldn't be because I haven't done anything to them, I think it is a hydraulic pressure. I didn't realize it was that tight. So what I'm going to do to confirm my hypothesis, I'm going to let these drain out. Wait, but how am I going to tell if there's zero lash? I think I'm just going to end up ordering 7.4. I can't figure out a good reason why, because there's enough tolerance in there, even if it's 5 or 6 off. I think it's like 50 to 100 or 30 to 100 preload. So even if they're off a little bit, I think it'll be okay. I'm not trying to make a big deal about nothing, but this is something that people definitely recommend doing. And they're acting exactly the same. Watch. Oh man, that feels so good. I'm so glad the second one did it. All right, well, I'm pretty sure everything's okay. And I wouldn't say panicked. I didn't panic. I was just like, dang man, one more thing. I loosened up the measuring push rod, or tighten it up rather, so it's shorter, quite a bit. I just cannot tell where there's zero lash. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take that head off, assuming that it's hydraulic pressure. I'm gonna take that head off, get the lifters out of there, put some fresh lifters in there with the hydraulic pressure, so then I can definitely tell where there's zero lash. There's just too much give, and I'm gonna need to read up on that too, because I didn't know that the springs were that weak. I mean, look at that. I'm putting like less than 10 pounds of force, and it's pushing down a lot. So I'm going to continue to drain these so I can confirm that those are empty, which is why they're spongy. And when we do this, I'm going to take, actually I only need one. Might as well just take 2, throw 2 fresh lifters in there, and then check it immediately. Because see, I can't see where there's zero lash because there's so much give. It's not supposed to do that. Like when there's zero lash, it's like this. It doesn't move at all. The only reason I know is I had to learn, like a few months ago, I fixed my dad's Kawasaki mule. And I had to learn all that lash and everything. And that's where I got the feeler gauges. So I'm basically a professional expert. But all right, that's where we're at. Okay, check it out. I'm glad this happened because I saw this video a few days ago. He's a real country guy, and he has this video, I think it's Powell something, machining. Well, and he went on this long spiel about how people use too long of push rods, like they use too much, what's that, preload. So that's why I wanted to see where this was zero, because I was thinking, well, maybe I'll just, shorten my push rods. And I kept going down and down and down like 3 or 4 times, and it wouldn't get no lash. So I kept going. I finally got zero lash. Well, this is lash. I finally have lash. So I wanted to show what it looks like. See, when it can move up and down. The problem before is when I did that, it would push down the lifter, so I couldn't see where it was bottomed out. But that's because it still had pressure on it. There's no pressure on it. So now this is where I inch it out, half a turn at a time, and then measure it. And then you add your lash to that, whatever you decide. He said 20 or 30 is more than enough. So I wanted to get that because that's what I was trying for heck a half hour, and it just wouldn't bottom out. But yeah, that is lash. Lash is just like free play. So now we have it. we want to get it down to where it's just 0. It just touches. All right, it took maybe 5 or 6 times. I took it in until I got lash, and then I worked it out until right here. This is no lash. It shouldn't make any sound. Let's see if I push a little harder, I know I can spring it down, but I know that this is 0 lash right here. So I'm going to take that out and measure it, and that's going to give us the size before we decide how much preload we're going to have. It could be 7350, I don't know. That's what I wrote down as a possible option, was 7350, because that's what he said. A lot of people should upgrade to 7350, so we're about to find out. Let me get it out of there. Wow, look at that. That is substantially less than 7.4. Wow. I think it would be okay, but it's like up at the upper limit of the preload should be. So it's like putting extra pressure on the lifter itself. And lifters are a problem with the LS. That's why I did the upgrade to the more modern one, the LS7. Well, there we go. I'm going to track that guy's video down and watch it again. And I'm going to watch other people's. Like, that's what I'm going to do this evening. Try to decide if I do want to do 7350 or, you know, figure out how much preload I want. Also, I will be measuring the exhaust. So 2 things. I am also going to measure the exhaust. And tomorrow, I'm going to take this head off, take the lifters out, put those fresh ones in just to double check, because there's no give at all on the ones full of oil. So I want to double check because I could be off. So I can do nothing more than check 3 different times. And, but I'm pretty confident that's 0 lash. It was very definite. All right, that's the exhaust. So they're within like 5 of each other, which I'll just chalk that up as my error. You know, I could have made that 5 thousandths is, I was going to say immeasurable, but you can. It's well within the tolerance. So whatever I'm getting them all the same. I just wanted to confirm it. So around 7.3 without preload. So that guy was probably right. You know, that 7350 was a good size. So like I said before, I'm going to go check that out, but we're all good on this. To reiterate, we'll swap these out tomorrow with the fresh ones with the hydraulic pressure, just to make sure I'm not making an error. Because see, I can push that down. I cannot push those down with the ones that have oil in it. So looks like I'm done for the evening. This is pretty crazy. You got all this dust in there when the heads were on it. And I had the thing covered up. That is strange. I don't know if it's showing up at all. There are those darn scratches. I think it's gonna be all right. I do. I'm not just saying that to psych myself up. I think it's gonna be okay. All right, I went ahead and just popped the head off, put the new lifters in there, reinstalled this, and I've got 0 lash with the fully loaded lifters. So there's no give. See, like I can't push it down like before. It's firm. So I can move it side to side just a pinch, but I cannot move it up and down. So I'm going to pop that out and go check the measurement. This will be my second confirmation. Alrighty, 7.310. So we're within 5 1/1000ths. This time with the full lifters, and I went ahead and put all 4 because I want to, while I'm at it, I want to check another cylinder. But 7.310. That's without preload. And obviously, there's some leeway in there. The 5 1/1000ths, I'm going to just call it, it's good. First time I was 7.5, or 3.05. No. 305. Yeah, the first time I was 305, now it's 310. So that's literally just my error, you know, an eighth of a turn difference. So it's not enough to worry about. So we're at 7.3 basically. That's the length of the intake. While I'm at it, I'm going to double check the exhaust, but I'm assuming it's going to be the same. Well, that's interesting. That's the exhaust. I think technically it's still like within 10 or 15, but I'm glad I measured it. I'm going to definitely measure the next one. That is the second exhaust. So these are the measurements I've gotten. I'll just count the second round, not the first one. 7.31, 7.29 in intake and exhaust. And then 7.31, 7.305. So they're all within 20 thousandths of each other, which is within the tolerance of the preload. So I will probably, well, I want to go watch a video and see if it's better to err on the tighter side or the looser side. I think I would be very comfortable with 30 preload from what I can remember from the video like last week. So if they sell 7.33, maybe that's what I'll buy. If they have 7.35, I think I'll be okay with those two, because I'm pretty sure the preload goes up to 100 or more. So actually, I think that's exactly what it is, because he said something about maybe it's 50 to 110 or something like that. It's roughly what the numbers I'm saying, but I don't know the specifics. But I think at least that guy on Powell Machining or whatever it was, I'm pretty sure he was saying 30 is plenty. So anywhere between 30 and 50, I think I'll be golden, which would put me at 7.350, which is what I said at the beginning of this video, and I already have saved on the Summit website. So, mission accomplished. I actually did get it done. These are torqued down, but they're not torqued down. Know what I'm saying? Okay, good. Well, this just blew my mind and made me a lot more comfortable about my measurements of the camshafts. Usually the base circle of the camshaft is nominally smaller with higher lift. I don't understand that, but I read it like 4 times. Changing camshafts obviously changes pushrod length, as when you gain lift, usually the base circle of the camshaft is nominally smaller. I measured it myself, and that's what I saw. Man, my little peasant brain is just not understanding that. I can't find a definitive answer. Powell Machine, I was remarkably accurate with my memory of his video. They go from like 30 to 50 or something, 30 to 60. I think Brian Tooley is like maybe 50. Don't quote me on that one though. But he also said GM is 100. And now here in his manual it says, for these OEM lifters, I prefer to use 0.050, so 50 to 75. So it looks like if we're at 7.3, I'm going to say that's the average, which it was, and we want 50, that would put me at 7.350. Let me keep reading. All right, we did 2 cylinders on this side. Now I want to check these over here. I watched a few more videos. I can't get a definitive answer on how much. 100 is the highest, and like 25 or 30 is the lowest for the preload. And I want to double, triple check and make sure my numbers are good. So we're ranging from 0.298 to 0.318. So that's like a 20,000th variation. I'm not going to do the entire engine, but I do want to do both sides. If there's a lot of variation on this side, then I might end up doing the whole thing. But yeah, I just threw some new lifters in there, got oil everywhere. Let me just finish tightening this down. But anyway, we're just going to do the exact same thing we did on the other side. Put these studs in. Drop the head gasket on. I just cleaned it. Where's it at? And then we're going to do the passenger side head. So, I'll keep you posted. Got this one done and this one done. Here's the numbers I've got. 306, 310, 307, 305. I think it would be a waste of time to do the rear half of the engine. They're all within 15, 20. And I consider 5 or 10 just the error that I make. So they're all within 15, 20. Most of them within like 5. So I think this is the end of the video, because I think I'm just going to do this the Pushrod video. I've already got so many clips. I don't know why I have so many. Oh, it was a pain earlier. I don't know if I put it on camera, but I was reading this last night. I wanted to put this in there. This is this manual. And this guy says, I prefer to use 0.050. So he uses 50 to 75 of preload. I'm seeing an overwhelming consensus between the majority say 50 to 100, and there are several people that say less than 50. Basically, what I'm saying is, if I was just going by on the masses, between 40 and 80 seem to be like the middle of the bell curve where everybody's comfortable. I was really leaning toward buying the Brian Tooley 7.375, which happened to be the same length as Powell machine. I'm actually going to put a link on to his channel, because it's actually an informative video, assuming he's not lying. But he said something about, he was in this video discussing the lift, and he used like 580 to 600. He would recommend like 375. Well, I'm at 385. So for 2 separate reasons, I have come to the conclusion that 375 is going to be my choice. Man, there's so many other things I can talk about, but I don't want to get it more confusing. So I'm 99% sure I'm going to do some... Oh, but here's the thing. I was going to order the Brian Tooley 375s, and I was reading several times. People said these were like 0.16 off. That's a lot. And that'll put me close to like 390. So I don't think it's the end of the world, but I'm possibly going to find another brand that's more consistent. I really wanted to support BTR because he's just up the road from me, and I love supporting Americans, especially good old boys. Anyway, I guess this is the end of this video. I decided on 7.375 is going to be roughly 60 to 70 preload. That's within the tolerance. It's a little higher than I wanted. I was kind of leaning towards 3.5, 350. But there doesn't seem to be as many brands available. Actually, no, I have that backwards. Never mind. There are 350 available. There are less 375s. Anyway, I'm done with this, and I found it funny. 2 of these lifters I put in, they had been soaking at least for 2 days, and 2 of them were still springy. I think it's because they're not all submerged in the oil, because even if they're in there for a day, it should fill up within a day. So it's, you know, see how they're piled on top of each other? They're just not getting oil in all of them. So I'm not going to force any more in there because, like I said earlier, the thing's going to be sitting for a while. The wiring, I don't even want to think about the wiring. I mean, there's so many things I'm going to have to do after I get the engine in the car. I'm dreading it. I'm dreading the wiring. I'd rather build this engine 3 times than do the wiring. I'm so dreading it. But that's going to bring an end to the Pushrod video. I can't say you learned anything, but you saw how complicated it can be. And did I not say it was going to be complicated? Everybody said, oh, it's simple, it's simple, it's simple. Yeah, right. Every single time I hear that. Simple, easy, simple, and straightforward. Those are my trigger words. If I hear any one of those or all of them, I know it's BS and it's going to be complicated. So I'll leave you with that. Don't trust people when they say it's going to be simple, because it's never simple.